مرحبا اليوم في فيديو جديد. حدث 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 يلا يا عيال كلنا متحمسين. ما قاعد اسمع اصوات، مش صوت خفيف، ما قاعد اسمع شيء، ما ادري. وش ذا العدد يا عيال؟ لا ما ادري، الحياة حلوة. طيب ننطر حدث يا شباب. يا الله يا الله يلا يا عيال. شوف مطرق مين هذي، شوف جاي بسيارة واحدة. يا عيال اللي معي بالفريق اقعدوا واضغطوا مربع، اقعدوا كذا، اقعدوا اضغطوا اللي تصوب ومربع. ايه كذا، اقول خلاص لا احد يضغط. كلنا عرب يا عيال، قصيدي ذا عن اجنبي. 10 9 8 7 صار 30 من دقيقة.
The badge is better than having some heart.
What?
Okay, look now, look how they running. They beating white people down just to show us what's coming.
What?
Or to show us we nothing. Or to show us we only welcome when singing or balling. You shut up and dribble. Word. Look.
Hey everybody, I'm Carrie Champion.
Marhaba.
Welcome to We the People. So today we are having a very candid conversation with athletes and artists who want to make sure that you use your voice to vote. Voting is your voice. So we have so many different issues that have happened in this country. It's really truly unprecedented time. So I'm looking forward to these conversations. I think you'll be educated as well as entertained, but most importantly informed. We have morethanavote.org, whenweallvote.org, and those resources are imperative as we try to change our future.
Yeah, la.
There's no way that we can talk about hip-hop or even the fact that we want to talk about activism, black voter suppression, without bringing in this guy straight from Port Arthur, Texas. We are talking about Bumby. He is an activist, a scholar, and an all-around gentleman. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. I don't want to start heavy, but I guess I have to because that's where we are in the world today. It's heavy as hell. And when you think about what needs to happen in this country in terms of change, what's the first thing that you think of?
Equality. That's pretty much the first thing that comes to mind, right? Black people need to be seen as equals in this world. You know, we had to fight just to be recognized as a full citizen. in this country, and not 3/5.
The world is now seeing what we've known for so long in the culture and in the community. The one way that we can fight is obviously voting. Talk to me about what voting means to you.
I hear people all the time talking about one vote doesn't matter and that voting doesn't make a difference. If that's true, why do they work so hard to suppress the black vote? Because they understand the power of the vote. And so it's time that black people collectively also understand the power of their vote. And not just on a national level, because a lot of times we only have this conversation every 4 years. People need to be very much involved in their local politics. They need to understand who their elected officials are, where they stand on issues that affect you. And you need to use your vote to either support the ones that care about you and your condition, or to elect people who do. A newer initiative that we're dealing with is educating felons, right? So in the state of Texas, if you're a felon, right, if you've been to jail or to prison, but you're no longer on probation or parole, you have the right to register to vote. Another thing that was just brought to my attention is an initiative called Orange, which is happening not just in Houston, but all over the country. If you're in jail currently during pretrial, but you have not been convicted, like you're still in jail waiting for your day in court, you are still eligible to vote.
And you said something so key. They work so hard to hope that we stay uninformed, but more importantly, to suppress the black vote. If you could do one thing with this message that we're trying to send today about how important voting is, what type of images would you like our people to understand and see when they go to these polls and vote, or when they cast their ballots?
I think the images that we've all seen, you know what I'm saying, for decades in this country, if not centuries in this country, we've seen black people oppressed, we've seen black people attacked. So every time you look back and you see those old black and white images of people of color being attacked by dogs and people of color being sprayed with hoses, that's what they will be in a position to have the power that we have now, which is to be able to cast a vote and make a decision about the people that have controls over our lives. So, I mean, if you in your own community need a reason to vote, look at a person like George Floyd. If the people in your city are not open to police reform, are not open to having a conversation about defunding the police, are not open to issues concerning economic equality, judicial equality, and racial equality, right? If they're scared to say Black Lives Matter, you have the power to put people in those positions who do believe that Black Lives Matter, who do believe in racial equality, economic equality, judicial equality, right? Who see us as human beings. And if the people in your community don't feel that way, vote them out. It's that simple. It's just vote them out. We don't have enough time to sit around and hope that people change their minds.
Yeah, Bumpy, you point out something so important. We have the power, and that is in our vote, and that is with our voice, and that's how we use our voice. I think of where we are right now. People say this is a particular moment, but it is a movement, not just a moment. It is a movement. Why, in your opinion, was it George Floyd's death? Why was that the chosen brutality for people to say, oh my God, black people are still oppressed in this country, and it is not fair?
I think it's twofold, Carrie. In so many different encounters between people of color and the police, there simply is no proof of what happened in the interaction. And so what happens is, in a court of law, point of view, right? In this case, we saw very clearly what happened. I think the other thing is due to the fact that everyone was at home, basically, during this time period in relation to the coronavirus. You couldn't avoid it, right? It was on every television station, it was on every social media platform. Everywhere you turn, you were constantly hit upside the head with this message. You see in the interaction that this man did nothing to deserve what happened.
That's right. That's so well said, because if you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't worth it, and he didn't have to lose his life. I think that you touched on something that a lot of people talk about, and that is now defunding the police. That has been such a huge conversation, but there's so many misconceptions around defunding and dismantling. If you will, educate the audience.
All right, so most people, when they hear the term defund the police, they tend to think of, oh, they're going to take away our police department. Nothing could be further from the point. Defunding the police means that in certain communities, even Houston, take for example, we had over $1 billion allocated to our police force. Now, what is that money being used for? Some of that money tends to be allocated towards riot shields, right? Pepper spray, right? That kind of thing. That's only used against the people that fund this budget, right? So why would the people want to supply the police with the means to oppress them? If the police are concerned about the situations in certain communities with a higher crime rate. Well, higher crime rates tend to happen in communities where there's not employment opportunities, right? There's not a lot of social services, and people are going to do what they need to do to take care of
For
themselves
sure.
and their families. When the community has more opportunities for employment, more opportunities for upward mobility, then they tend to be a less of a strain on the government. They tend to have a lower crime rate, and because of that, we'll have less need for the police in those communities.
You are passionate about so many different things in terms of making sure that we are holding our leaders accountable. Talk to me about some of the other projects that you're working on.
Well, right now, obviously, being a part of More Than a Vote is essential. We're dealing with primaries in this country right now, and we just want to educate people. We want to inform people because people are tired, they're angry, they're concerned, and they want information and they want action. And so we want to make sure that we give them the right information and lead them in the right direction. And we thank the people that do not look like us for standing with us right now, because it's very important that people who aren't black be involved, because if black people could have gotten rid of racism, we would have done it hundreds of years ago. And so I'm trying to use my voice and my platform just to let people know that if they feel like I do, there's a number of places they can go to enact change in their community. People need to know about how their city council runs. They need to know that they have the ability to speak when city council meets, to let them know that that's not the way that they feel their city needs to be run. Those are not the places that they feel the money of their community needs to be allocated.
And Bubby, even a step further, they can run for office in their local community. They can run for positions. Like, people act like they leave it up to somebody else. If you're upset, it's not hard to get on the school board. It's not hard to be a part of the city council. It really isn't. And depending on how small your town is, you can be a mayor. The power is with the people, and we need to just know that that's happening.
Absolutely. And it's always been with the people. You know, if you look at Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton, right? She felt that there was a system of racism and a system of oppression that led to her son's death. And so what did she do? She ran for city council, and she was elected city council. Our own former president, 44, Barack Obama, right, started in the community as an activist, ran for an elected position, became senator, ran for another elected position, and became president of the United States. So don't think that you can't make a difference. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a lot of money. You don't need a lot of power. Your voice is enough to make a difference.
Amen. I feel like I need to go out and run for something. You gave me a rousing speech there, sir. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. When I talk to my brothers, I have to ask you, as a black man, how are you doing? Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm good. I have a very strong relationship with God, so prayer definitely works for me. I have children and grandchildren who are watching me, who are encouraged by what I do, and they're proud of me right now, you know, and that's really what matters, you know. The change starts at home, you know, so as long as you have a support system that believes in what you're doing and supports you in what you're doing, you have everything you need to go out there and fight the good fight. And for those that don't, there's a community of people here to help you. So you can go to places like morethanavote.org. There are many different places that will encourage you, inform you, and they will put you with groups of people that feel like you, that are ready to take action. So no one has to go about this alone if they want to do it.
Yeah, we're stronger together. People have been saying it, but that has much more meaning now that we are in our movement, not just this moment. Bumby, it has been an education, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Keep fighting.
Keep up the good fight.
Yeah.
So our next guest, I have to admit, I'm a fan, but there are so many different people that we could talk to, and I thought it was so imperative that we speak with her. You know her as Molly on the huge, successful show Insecure, HBO's Insecure. She also has a comedy special highlighting her Nigerian roots, and she's an amazing podcaster. Let's welcome in Yvonne Orji, everyone. You have such a beautiful way of making things funny, giving us our medicine with some candy, right? The humor and the healing. You bring all of that to your space. And right now, as you look across this country and how everyone is so broken and so upset, it's not social injustice, it's depression, it's unemployment, the list goes on and on. How are you doing, quite frankly?
You know, I'm rediscovering self in a way that is hard but necessary, that will lead to ultimate joy. I know it sounds like a lot, but no, I think I personally think that God put all of us on a global timeout. Like, we just America hasn't done as good as other people when it comes to timeouts because everyone else is out playing at recess, and we're still in the principal's office hoping and wishing we can come out. But I think that if we settle into the timeout and really learn the lesson that we're supposed to learn from this season, I think we'll emerge better. We'll learn how to play well with others in more ways than one. And so personally for me, I'm taking this time to learn me in a new way. I feel like I'm being ushered into a new season, and I'm getting still, because sometimes the busy confounds the doing other stuff, but we got work that we need to do on the inside, and I'm leaning into it. I'm like, dang, I thought I was gonna be able to rest like everybody else, and you guys like, nah, we got work.
I think that's what everybody is saying about 2020. It's demanding that we be better. And you said it's a global timeout. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's like everyone sit down, be humble, to quote the great prophet Kendrick Lamar. But like, no, seriously, sit down and let's reevaluate some things. Let us unearth and shake up the things that we have been trying to hide within ourselves, within our nation. I think America is going through an unraveling right now, a much needed, a much necessary one. And I think all eyes on us, right? There is no, oh, I was on the subway for an hour, so I didn't miss that thing that happened. No, everybody was home. Everybody, was watching when George Floyd died, and everybody, no one could hide it. Everyone was watching when Amy Cooper called the cops. Like, this is a time where it's like, oh, we can't pretend it away. We can't excuse it away. No, 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 no. It's a global timeout. Sit down, watch, and let's learn. And globally, it's like, hey, we were going business as usual, but it ain't usual no more. Like that's old. Anytime change occurs, it's very uncomfortable. And so right now we're sitting with we're getting we're getting comfortable with the uncomfortable.
The minorities, we've been comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that to me explains just the existence for whatever we want to do, how we break into our careers, how we live our lives, how we find ourselves one of the few or one of the first. And that's a lonely road. When you look at, and when you talk about this global timeout, everybody had to pay attention to Amy Cooper. Everyone had to pay attention to George Floyd. How is that helping us as a people, as a country, during our global timeout?
I think, well, one, we're not minorities, Carrie. You already know it. It's like these labels that they put on us. It's like the same way of saying like black on black violence. Also, there's no white on white violence. It's branding.
Yeah,
right. It's all branding.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like white people kill white people every single day. So no, there is no black on black violence. And if you say black on black violence, well then let's brand white on white violence. Like, I watch Investigation Discovery. Ain't too many of us been featured. So, I just even like, but to answer your question, what does that do? I think what everyone expected is what has happened in the past when the world was still open, right? In that, okay, you had everyone, from Trayvon Martin to Castillo to Sandra Bland, you had all of these lives lost, and black people made some noise. We rioted, we got out in the streets, we started the Black Lives Matter movement, all of those things. And then white people kind of just like, oh, let's give them something. And then it's just like, is it over? It's like Oscars so black. Okay, good. We gave some Oscars. Are we good now? Like, are we even? And it's now it's just like, oh no, 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 no. This is not about like a band-aid. It's like, yo, we might have to amputate the leg a little bit, but it's all right, because by amputating the leg, we're gonna save the body. And so I think that's what's happening now. Like, America is realizing, like, oh, black people aren't just making a little bit of noise. Like, the protests are still out. The conversations are still being had. The change is still being demanded. And I think they're seeing, oh, this is not going no way. And no, it's not, because we need systematic change.
What a beautiful way to explore what is happening and describe our country. We might have to amputate the leg, but that's to save the body. That's what's happening right now. That's beautiful, Yvonne. And to that end, I have to ask you this, because the way that we do that, we use our voice. And our voice right now in this world, in this country, is our vote. And everyone talks about voting and how important it is, but I feel like more than ever we understand that it's not just about voting every 4 years for the man in office. It's about your local elections. It's about the mayor. It is about the district attorney, the people who have the power to bring charges against police if police brutality is an issue in your community. If you care about your school district, you can run for the school board. I ask this of you, right? Your parents are from Nigeria. You are Nigerian. You talk about that very lovingly. What does voting mean for you?
You know, I think voting is power. I remember, you know, I became a naturalized citizen back in the 90s when, because I was still a minor, my mom naturalized, and so we were able to do it under her. And just even that power of like, we are American citizens and all the access that we have by being citizens, one of those accesses and those access to power being voting, it's a big deal. It's a big deal because not only do we have the opportunity to be in this country, but now we can be of the country. We can be of the systems. We can be of the rules. We can be of what it actually affords. But I think going back to your earlier comment about just the setup of systems, I think we are done a disservice. Either it's schools or whatever it is, and I'm not putting teachers on blast. I think teachers do a phenomenal job, but for some reason, we do not, and give them all the raises. I know too many parents who are like, this child of mine, I do love them.
انت لا تتكلم لا تتكلم ترى قاعد اصور بث ترى قاعد اصور بث كذاب ورب الكعبة اني قاعد اصور بث
حتى انا قاعد اشوف بثك ترى اللي ساعة
We talk about every 4 years. It's important to vote for the president.
اللي ساعة تفرج في بثك الحين دخلت ترى على طول قلت انا بتفرج
about like how much our libraries get.
ايش اسم البث عشان اسلم عليهم. السلام عليكم.
When you think of voter suppression in this country, what does it look like for you?
It's the systems. When we talk about voter suppression, we also talk about systematic racism, right? It's all the systems that set up. And we've
استنى باقي ما دخلت.
أول ما يدخلونك ولا تعال في عرض هنا إذا شفت باقي 10 دقايق تشوفه بيعطونك لون.
It should be built into the system. It should be built into the fabric of how you vote. But maybe you'll be able to get this luxury in order to enable you to go vote. Think about everything.
دخلت وين اروح؟
شوفني تعال عندي.
Black person has to endure in a day. So in a day,
اروح عند اسمك.
if something happens to your car, if something happens to your child care, if something happens to, there's so many factors along the way that can send you into a tailspin as an American. And then
أنا
you
داخل
add
مع
on as a
ناس.
person of color.
أنا في الساحة.
If you're just trying to get to vote and you already have to go through all of these hurdles and hoops in your everyday life.
إيه رايح للبنت قاعد أشوفك طلع لي اسمك
But then you also see all the times that you tried to have your voice matter and then it's been shut down, repressed, told it doesn't matter, and then you're kind of like, what's the point?
قاعد أشوفك.
How do we keep hope?
أضغط L2 علق على L2.
How do we as a people stay hopeful? How do we believe in the promise that these quote-unquote forefathers have given us?
علق على L2.
وين اليسار ولا اليمين؟
اللي تصور.
Like hope is infused in our
L2.
DNA.
اللي تصور.
If we haven't been broken now,
علق عليها واضغط مربع.
Through slavery, through capitalism,
Give it to me. Give it to me.
colonization, through segregation, through, you know, I mean,
صورت.
the history
أنت قاعد تشوف شيء الحين صح؟
At one point, we were
قاعد أشوف
هذا.
قاعد أشوف بنت.
that was a written law.
أيوة باقي 15 دقيقة ويعطونا الوان. يا رب يعطونا.
We are, you know what I'm saying? What I
ما
think about in
نقدر
terms of giving us hope, right? We're making a lot of people nervous right now. We're making a lot of people nervous.
طلع وجهها.
Dang, we put all these
حتى ما يمدينا نرقص بعد.
and these jokers are resilient. But that should give us hope. That should give us hope that like we can't stop. I mean, I went to the school of it, you know, hashtag, Harlem shaking it right now. We can't stop. And I think that's our motto. We can't stop voting and we won't stop voting. We can't stop marching and we won't stop marching. We can't stop thriving and we won't stop thriving.
To that end, because you led me directly there, I've been asking everyone.
هذه حبيتها والله حبيتها مرة.
We had an idea. Yes, it is.
هذه مؤنقة ما حبيتها. اللي على اليسار حبيتها.
Not right or unjust, but
ترى اللي على اليمين ولد.
activism looks like for Yvonne Orchard.
Listen, activism, I think the beauty of activism is that it has many faces, right? You're going to have people on the front. Like, you know what? Martin Luther King marched, but there were a lot of women who were in the homes like, hey, when they come back, this is how we support all the people who are marching on the front lines, and we're going to be here doing what we know to do best here. And you know what? Somebody needs to bail them out of jail, so that we need to be in the community, getting money, whatever it is. So it's like everybody has a position to play, and so play your position.
12 واحد موجود في الحفلة.
So whoever you are, and whatever you do, play your position. So could look like, you know what? I'm not the one that's built to be on the front line, but you know what? My pockets go deep, so I'm gonna support the people on the front line. You know, I'm a comedian. Black joy is a form of activism.
There's always a call for entertainers or celebrities to
واحد
have a
يغني
platform
راب
to do something. Why aren't you speaking out? I'm not a believer in thinking that it's mandatory. Like you said, everyone can
واحد
be
يقول
activists and be activated in different
ما
ways.
نجم ما
Talk to
نجم.
me about the connection. Talk to me about the marginalization in your world and how you feel like it even inspires you
أنا
to
بروح
say
أنا
more
بمشي
and use your
أنا
platform
قاعد
to do
أمشي
more.
أنا
Beneath the surface of
قاعد
what we
أمشي.
do, like Nicki Nash said, it's the who,
شوف
right? The who
عندهم مع جد
is the person who's
ايوه خلك من حفلة انتظر بس انت باللون اذا رحت راح عليك انت بس تبي اللون
ways that we can be
والله ما ادري
better
ايش قاعد
in
تقول
terms
انا
of ways that we can
مرس
لون
activate
حق السلاح يا ولد لون حق
we don't even
السلاح
you may not even realize that you're
شنو
serving.
السلاح؟
Before I let
أي
you go,
سلاح.
talk to me about the urgency.
استنى بس شي الشخصية بروح بلبس جوردن وبرجع لك
Yeah, I mean, guys,
عشان اصير مع النيجا
right. If you think
قريب ولا بعيد يا ولد قريب حتى انا بحط شخصية جوري
we cannot take this sitting down.
يلا
We
سيبني
can't take
كان
this
يا
joke. I
ولد.
understand that
ايه
it may be
وقفوا المقطع بعدين شغلوه
ها
وقفوا المقطع وشغلوه.
We have to vote for upward mobility. We have to vote for
وين انت؟
equality in a way
خلي
that
وراك.
is long
يلا بدي الملابس
lasting.
ها شوف
روح البس يا ولد ابي اشوف السلاح النادر والله ما همني شو قاعدين يقولون
ما تفهم اصلا ايش يقولون
الا تحت مكتوب بالعربي.
جنبنا هنزولة مرحبا شباب
انجولة
يا ولد بروح اطقم معاهم بحط نفس كلمة
And then we also have movies like you the world you're a model
ما عندهم مع جد
also wait don't let me
بحط
forget your
نفسهم يا
hugely
ولد
successful stand-up comedy
والله حتى أنا بحط نفسي.
special on
عندك.
HBO girl you I mean you doing it all and
ما
I
عندي زيهم بس بحط جني بدل حاجة كذا البسه تعتبر جنيه. باقي 5 دقايق ورب الكعبة 5 دقائق. شوف تحرك المجموعة.
ايوه باقي 5 دقايق
قفل المقطع شوف
شفني مطقم
بدأ
So Atlanta has been one of the hotbeds in terms of political unrest and social injustice. We've seen so much happen in that city, and we've also seen so much come from that city, including one of our very own founding fathers of the civil rights movement, and that's Martin Luther King Jr. Someone who has used his platform to talk about voting, to talk about racial injustice, and he's trying to help Atlanta's very own.
إذا بدلت ملابس ترى
الرجال
fan out and tell you what are some of my favorite songs were that I would like to repeat on yours. We're going to get to the topic at hand. So we got to talk about recently you did an interview where you shared your outlook on culture and music, and you also were very candid about the fact that you have a privilege and that it's necessary to give back. Tell me about that.
As like it's very obvious, I'm white and I'm in Black culture and I'm benefiting financially off of it. So I feel like if you're a white person financially benefiting off of Black culture, you have to put finances back into Black culture. It's that simple. screenshots with your feelings. It just comes off like fake empathy. It comes off very dismissive. Oh, that sucks for y'all. But anyway, back to what I was doing.
Have you felt that way always, or is it now because of the time of where we are in this country?
I've always had the feeling. I think now it's just obviously it's to the point now where you can't, first of all, you can't not say anything. Second of all, though, I just think saying something isn't enough anymore. I think, if you have the ability to put money back into a culture that you're financially benefiting from, have the ability to.
It's interesting that you talk about it in that way because
السلحة وشو السلح اللي بيجي؟
راح يعطونك انت انك متأخر لا سابق أنا
موجود يا حبيبي وش؟ دحين نص
ساعة. لا تتأخر هذا كذاب والله انك كذاب ما صار لك 10 دقايق يا كذاب.
ليش نايم؟
أنا نص ساعة أنا نص ساعة.
Well, first of all, picking and choosing whether you want to be silent or not about race, that's a privilege in and of itself. But no, I mean, I try to just do my best to listen to the people around me and educated black people I have in my life. So I do my best to have all the answers for everything, especially in a culture that I'm not from. But that's why when we decided to raise the money for Black Lives Matter organizations, when we raised 500,000, some of the women who started Black Lives Matter. I got on the phone with Tamika Mallory. I was on the phone with Karen Civil and talking with my friends to make sure the money went to like the correct places. It's just about listening. That's all.
ليت إنه يرجعون بيت الطيارة أفضل.
It looks very differently. It's not necessarily just protesting on the front lines. I think that's great. But what about
في بيت الطيارة
being
أفضل
an
من
activist
اللون
in the way
السلاح.
which you have decided to be one?
أنا بروح والله ما أدري شو يقولون. تعال معي.
You said you raised money for Black Lives Matter. What did you do? Walk us through everything that you did and how you find yourself in this moment.
So for me, it was 3 years ago. I had like a string of festivals, and I decided that I was going to wear T-shirts with a message on them because I figured, what better time to use a platform than in front of a bunch of people. So one of the T-shirts I wore was, if you want to change the system, speak up, white silence, and it didn't really it kind of got swept under the rug back then. But when all this stuff started happening again, it's been happening, the police brutality against innocent black people, I was like, man, I'm not the biggest artist in the world, and I certainly don't have the most white fans in the world, but I got a good amount of people that I can definitely mobilize.
أول ما يحط أغنية نقدر نرقص. نرقص هذه الأغنية اللي أعطونا إياها مجانية.
How am I going to be in black culture and not be outspoken about racism?
And then I gotta ask you this because you grew up in Atlanta,
يلا
so that
5 4 3 2 1
black city where there's so many wonderful black leaders, almost so much great music and things that speak to our culture right now. And we are really getting our word out, especially with this platform today, and saying that we must use our voice. Talk to me about what the importance of voting for you in this.
شوف وجه البنت.
Yeah, so full transparency, I had never
انت
voted.
ولد شوف ولدها جا وراها شوف ولدها يجي يسطرك.
معفن والله.
دقيقة وديني.
والله ما ادري ايش فيه يا اخي متحمس. يا رب بنت الطيارة يا رب بنت الطيارة
يا عقلك.
يا رب بنت الطيارة يحبونا يا رب.
وش السالفة؟ وش السالفة؟ وشو؟
وين انت؟
وشو؟
بدأ والبنت ايه
وش اللي بدأ؟
بدينا.
ايوه بدأ عندي بس كذا.
أنا بدأ.
نروح نشوف إذا خلص ما في شيء خلينا نطلع من الجيم.
طب أنت الله يخليك بيتك ونمت.
نسولف تركي كان أشوف كنت ورا أنت ورا شوفني رح.
يلا جايك.
لا كان موجود.
Words are simply not enough for me. You gotta do
الله ينعم
something,
طيحني.
whether it's raising money,
أخوياي حتى موجودين.
voting, or all
لا
the
لا
above. Like it's we gotta do something, you know. And
قاعد أسمع موجودين
I'm
للحين.
ashamed that
لا
it
كلهم
took
موجودين ناس
that
ثانيين.
for me to be like I need to raise money
أقول
and I
قدامك
need
شوف
to vote. You know, it's a shame, and I don't know. It just
ناس.
I guess it snapped a bunch of people out of it, you know. And even if you were and whatnot, it's time to actually put
وجهه
your
ما
money
قاعد
where it
أشوفه.
is. It's time to go vote.
مجنون
You know, it's time to just stop talking about it.
أقول الوجه
And it's been
ما
time for
قاعد
that,
أشوفه.
but like I said, you know, I'm ashamed that it took me this
ولا
long to actually
شوف اطلع
really be
خلينا نشوف
about it.
يعطونك شيء.
But I'm here now.
So Russ, we all know that this is going to be your first time voting. Tell me what that experience is going to be like for you in terms of what you're excited.
I think you know what it's going to do for me. It's going to let me know that I'm contributing to something bigger than myself, and I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm being about it because, you know, for so long, and I know I'm not alone with this, but you know, standing on the outside and just screaming about this and that and this should change and this, it's like, all right, but did you vote? You know, and so I'm, you know, I know it's gonna feel good to know that I played a small role, you know, and that's the problem. I think the mentality of like
هو جرب
my
اطلع
vote doesn't
وادخل.
matter needs to be
شوف.
changed to
لا والله ما تدري
my vote,
لو ما
albeit
تجرب
small,
عادي يدخل مرة
does
ثانية.
matter. It's a role I'm playing.
لا،
If
لا.
I play my part,
لا
you play
ولا.
your part, and he
10
plays their
دورات.
part, then we make a difference. But
الله
you know, it'll
10
feel,
دورات.
I have a feeling it's gonna
تذكر يمكن تتحداني 1v1
bigger than
والله ما
me. And
أعطيتني
I think when you
لا
realize
تحديتك
that
مستعليك ما فز.
actually feels better than receiving, that's when you start wanting to do your part.
يا
and
أخي
contribute. So,
كذاب.
voting is
يا
an
شباب
easy way
شوفوا
to give.
ما يبغى يطوف. يا عيال
So how much
ربك
is given
لا
to
ما
us
ابغى
that
اطلع.
you've been given
أنا
on
بعد
this
ما أبغى.
platform. We are so grateful.
الطيار
يا
موجود.
موزة يا حلو.
Community activist, first time voter.
30 واحد موجود يا حبيبي.
عاد.
Appreciate
بدأ
إيه. ما نقدر
بدأ.
نرقص ليه؟
Yeah, la.
So
Yeah.
cities like Atlanta
تعال
and
حبيبي
Chicago
وين
have
أنت؟
been at the forefront of the discussions, especially now in this country where we're talking
مرحبا
about
شباب.
systemic racism as well as police brutality and what we can do. in
انت
this
شنو
country.
يبغي؟
Again, we're continuing our conversation, letting you know that your
Johnny, what?
voice is
Get
your
what up?
vote and your vote is your voice. We
أوه هذا
can
أنت
change
تعال
where we are in this country currently. I'd like to welcome in Chicago Cubs right fielder Jason Hayward. I appreciate you.
تعال
I brought
بالله.
in Atlanta and Chicago because I know you grew
Right.
up in the metropolitan area
نروح
of
نتمشى.
Atlanta, more specifically McDonough. Let's be technical. And you have been very vocal
Where?
throughout this
أقابلك فوق ها؟
entire time in terms of what our country's been experiencing. Let's look at the past month and a half, if you will.
ولا أقول لك أنا
What has
بروح
been the
وبرجع
hardest
لك
thing for
خلاص؟
you to deal with?
خلك والله بديك والله كاني جاي.
مرحبا
بروح أخذ
لا
والله معبر.
had
والله معبر.
multiple police
وراح
brutality
أخذ دباب.
situations. We've had people protest.
أنا جاي باخذ دباب.
But I really
بروح
realized
نتمشى
that I need to be a
نفلفل.
part of the positive
كذا
message
بدأ.
and make sure that doesn't get lost.
والله حتى
That all the
الدبابات
chaos
ما
going
في
on,
قفلوا
people
كل
actually
شيء.
here become a
ولا في ولا.
respectable person who cares about
يعني إلا تشوف
Person who
تشوف.
cares about everyone.
إذا ما تبغى خلاص ما لك شيء.
More than a vote. It is
يا تشوف يا مالي دخل.
of black athletes and
كذا.
artists. You are a part of that. Talk to me about why that's
يلا
important.
نبي احنا ما نبي طيب.
Of that
لا طيب إذا ما تبي يلا اطلع من الجيم وشوف وادخل. يا ولد اسمع يا عيال تكفون اقنعوه. اسمع يا محمد شوف إذا طلعت من الجيم الحين في 30 واحد صح؟ أنت تقول صح؟ طيب اطلع راح يكون باقي 29. بعدين اخش مرة ثانية يا اخي بذكاء.
وش يا اخي خلاص خلينا نجلس.
يعني ما تنقنع انت صح؟
يا حبيبي اقنع عادي انا عارف.
اي مجنون مرحبا شباب.
الله ياخذك يا كلب يا كلب.
You said something I thought was so key because covering sports for so long.
يا قليل الخاتمة.
It's tough for black players specifically.
مرحبا يا مرحبا يا مثلا.
How they feel. Adam Jones did it in a very eloquent way early on. You said you all were afraid. Why use that word?
اسمع انا بروح دقيقة وبجي اتكلم معهم كذا. انا اتكلم معهم انا بروح دقيقة وبجي بروح اكل لي شيء باكل يا ولد.
تعال شوف الموزة.
ايوه المقشرة. طيب اتكلم معهم انا بروح دقيقة وبجي 5 دقايق بروح. ايوه بروح دقيقة وبجي.
مش نزلوها.
Other black entertainers, much like yourself, probably having to live through life every day, but to get to the highest level, you got to.
سلام شباب كيف حالكم؟ معكم أبو صندر. أبو صندح أبو صندر. خلاص بعدين تعرفون.
That is a button up,
be quiet, be seen, but not heard. That is
an expression that a lot of black folks can relate to in whatever aspect of professionalism that they experience, especially if they don't work for themselves. They just feel that. That is also socialization that we have as black folks, especially like you said, if you want to get to the higher level. And for so long, I felt it bubbling right underneath the surface that so many of us who were in whatever positions we were, who had platforms, were tired of pretending and looking the other way and spending so much time making others comfortable while we were uncomfortable. Do you feel the type of movement that is sustainable, or is it just for a time?
No, it takes everyone joining in on the conversation, and right now I feel like more than ever there is little things as possible to distract from bigger issues. We saw on draft day. We saw holding up the sign saying Black Lives Matter and wanting to include the rest of them be in that. But now we're having those conversations as well. So I definitely think this is sustainable. And it's not always just going to be the popular. This is something that people want to get right.
Jason, you said you think it's sustainable, that what you're seeing, especially with your colleagues in baseball, that this can be something where you're feeling more comfortable, feeling more safe to share how you feel about social injustice and police brutality. What are you doing right now in this moment with your platform to help change how we look at voting and how to educate the culture and the community about voting?
Well, first, what
دي مود الأسمر مدري من في واحد صورني إنه عندي جبهة كبيرة.
to get that message out and use our platform and try to create a brand with this to make it something that's not just about
حتى مود زعلان بعد أشوف بث من اليوم طلع جبهتي طلع كل شيء قال ها شوفوا جبهتي يلا إيش عند أمك يا حيوان.
different demographics and influence different areas of people. And as a baseball player, as a black baseball player,
مرحبا شباب.
لا شوفوا يا عيال عطوا فولو محمد.
لا مو انستغرام. يلا اللايك يا شباب.
ايه لايك
ايه لا تقول ديسلايك.
وقناتي ان شاء الله اكس نسيت اسمها بعدين بقول لكم.
بعدين
ولا سموني ابو صندر ويطلع لكم كل شيء خلاص. ما طلع وجهي انا. في واحد مليون كلب طلع وجهي. جبهة كبيرة. قاعد اشوف بث مودي. علم امك الكيمياء الوالدة اللي بالله عليك.
وامه تدري ايش تقول يحفظها له.
والله زعلت له وفاز الجيم ورب الكعب فرنقل وقلاب له. تعال شوف الموزة تعال بالله. اللي مكشورة تنزلوه يا ولد.
موجود الحين بلايتهم شاب.
والله
اي والله
ذمتك نزلوه
الحين هو بلايتهم شاب.
يعني نزل السيارة
مع سكنين
then you're like, wait a minute, you start looking at the clock.
يعطيك سكنين زيادة. يعطيك سكن. يلا أنت اطلع. يلا أنت أول.
لا استنى خاف أنت ما تطلعي والله عرفت.
يمكن ما يعطوني شو اسمه اللون وما أطلع. جرب انت شوف.
وش اللون طيب؟
يا ولد جرب اطلع.
لون نادر.
نادر جرب اطلع.
والله كمان نادر والله لا.
This is real life voter suppression that you're talking about. It's been happening for decades. It's not fake. What you're saying, these examples of sending you your ballot too late after the fact, or shutting down the polls at 6 o'clock while people still are in line, that's a real life issue.
عشان بعد تشوف السكن يلا اطلع.
And I think that
لا ما بيشوف ما بيشوف يخرب بيته
مو نادر بينزلونه بعد مرة ثانية بلايتم شوب
والله ما معي فلوس
بينزلونه بلايتم شوب بعد مجاني
والله بيجي مجاني
اللون
شوب مجاني طيب متى بيخلصون الله ينعم
and get more people to say, okay, look,
اطلع.
we have to respect this.
ما نقدر والله نثبت اللون نادر والله
مو نادر مين قال انه نادر؟
أول مرة أحضر بطولة هذه.
طيب جرب اطلع.
ماني طالع والله.
يعني ملزم.
The word is being spread. The biggest athletes, the biggest icons are doing their part, but I'm also seeing people out there on the streets. So many things got lost. Could have very easily got in the commotion when it came to protests. You saw rioting, you saw looting. People still stood their ground. People still went out there and said, "Look, we're doing this for the right reasons. We're going to come in. We're going to use drones, social medias." I feel like this is a new way of doing the right way and just spreading the message.
طب أنا برجع اللوبي خلاص. خلك أقدر أدخل.
أيوة بسرعة.
بروح أشوف كود أيام شوب وبرجع. موزة يا حبيبي والله ما عادي تعطيني $100 ولا $10.
يست علي.
Family member, if you will, former colleague, NBA great, sports analyst, philanthropist, he does it all. And he's here to give us his time and his platform to talk about something that is so important, that is voting. Everybody, welcome to We the People. Talk to me about how important
تقدر من هذا تعرف اقول لك اصور بث يمكن ما يحب يطلع فوق وجهي.
لا ادري انا قاعد اتفرج على البث حقك عشان كذا جوال طبيعي اصور بث معك
عادي يلا عادي. شو اسمك بيعطونك لون اعطوك لون ولا الحين تكفى؟
والله بعد اشوف بثك احبكم شباب. ايوه حتى بثك
So you
دخلت وطلعت.
المهم دقيقة طيب شو اسمك اعطوك اللون ولا لا؟
اعطوني وشو؟
لا مو انت يا محمد.
لا ما موجود اللون بس لقيت الموزة. والله بثق
المهم بسوي لكم تحدي طيب.
اوكي
اللي يفوز علي راح اعطيه الحزمة الموزة. حزمة الموزة راح اعطيها اوكي اللي يفوز علي خلاص.
is that the person that gets the most votes
doesn't
necessarily win the presidency. That's uncomfortable right there. Because that's actually what took place in 2016.
لا يا عيال عطوا لايك.
عندي تويتش. ايوه انا حرام مسكين
ما عنده احد.
ايوه شوف مسكين.
شفت حمد ربك كاتب لك احبكم شباب.
عام يعني عارفه
وفيصل ترى شاف بثي.
من فيصل هذا؟ لا تقول حق فيصل
يجي
فيصل يجي يا ولد انا فيصل يجي والله منزلين السمكة ما السمكة موزة. يا عيال قاعد اشوف بثة يا اخوي ايش رايك باللبثة؟ والله اعطي لايكات وكل شيء. انا اعطيته لايك ومتابعة وكل حاجة. والله مكفي يا شيخ. يا رب يوصل 100,000
يا اخي. فيصل قال
فيصل بالله يا ذا كيف تشوف؟ ابغى اشوف على اليوتيوب.
اكتب حدث خاص
وانا اكتب
باليوتيوب.
والله قاعد اشوف بس
ما طلع لك. اكتب MO بالانجليزي.
When you just talk about I gotta work, so I can't go vote. And then when we do get in the booth, just in case we don't have to work, do we know who we're voting for? Not only do we have to vote, we got to be educated. And it's not always about the man who's in office or the woman who's in office for president. It's about your elections. It's about the people who are your DAs or state DAs, like the people who actually make change.
طيب عيال دقيقة
who will change police brutality.
طيب في واحد قاعد يطالع بثي صح؟ في واحد منكم قاعد يطالع بثي صح؟
انا
ايوه انتظروا. انا اللي قاعد يطالع بثي. شوف كم دقيقة صار لي ابث فوق على يسار.
دقيقة بحط كلمة البريد الالكتروني برجع لكم.
طيب شوف كم صار لي دقيقة يا اخوي.
بقالك يا اخوي
دقيقة كم صار لي ابث؟
بقول لك عشان تعرف اللي انا قاعد اتابع. شوف قاعد يحمل ثواني. الله يخرب بيتك قاعد تبث في اليوتيوب وانا ببث. يا اخوي
ابالك اكذب
والله صدقتك.
دقيقة بس فوق كذا.
Also sometimes disappointing about our role as black people in America because we were brought here as labor.
أبي أنا يا أخوي بس ما حد يتابعك إلا أنا وأخوي هذا. أنا وأخوي هذا
ورب الكعبة في مرة فيصل دخل عندي بتويتش. عندي بتويتش يمكن 200,000.
والله ذاك هذا مين يا
امس ما ادري امس مبطل شو اسمه اليوتيوب. انا يعني مسوي قناة. هذه قناتي الجديدة اول مرة بحياتي بطلها.
طيب استنى بس اكتب الحساب. يا هذا وش قاعد يتكلم على وش هذا؟ مالك منه انجليزي.
حدث
ما أنا أخوي وقف أبي أشوف بس أنا موجود ولا لا؟ لا والله
everybody that they can let their voice be heard, and failure is not an option.
Jalen, what does voter suppression look like to you?
A perfect example took place recently, Carrie, in Kentucky. It was 6 p.m. at night, and so many people were standing in line enthusiastic to vote. And you know what they did? Locked the doors. And you know what the people did? They continued to bang on the window. They continued to let it be known. They were not going to leave.
أنت موجود في البث، أنا موجود في البث، داخل في البث، كلنا داخلين في البث.
You know what ended up happening?
إحنا في البث.
And allowed those people to vote. So do not be discouraged. These barriers show you that it
واحد
ايوه ما تدري انها مشهور وفجأة تدري انها مشهور.
والله ما كتبت. أنا بالله شوف البيت البنت يا شبابكم نلعب سكواد يجينا يا حبيبي ما يجينا اللون، يقول اللون نادر.
ايوه ورب الكعبة عيال بدخل 55 دقيقة تقريبا قاعد ابث حق هذا. اخي مطولين يا اخي. بطلع انا اوكي بشوف.
لا تطلع.
اطلع
وش شوف الكود نطلع. لا
طيب في أحد يحط كودي ولا ما حد يحط كودي منكم؟
كود خاص.
اكتب اف يطلع لك كودي.
حبيبي ما نبكاد كودك لا كود يجي يضبط.
يا اخي خلاص اصلا
طيب يا عيال استنوا والله مركز.
اطلعوا خلينا نلعب سكواد.
بسبب كلمة المرور لا أحد يلعب. استنوا يا عيال استنوا يا عيال بس أنا أحط كلمة المرور يعني بالإنجليزي وأنا عارف إنجليزي حافظه يعني.
ايزي
صار أنا إنجليزي يا حبيبي.
ايوه طيب الحين بسرعة وش تبون؟ تبون رقص الهندية ولا تبون حزمة الموزة وهذه بسرعة؟ مين يبي؟
حزمة الموزة والله إني أبيها الموزة.
طيب دقيقة الموزة يجي موزة وسكنين بعد ترى زيادة.
ما شفت أنا ما لحقت.
بنتين.
وش البنت حلو يعني السكن حلو البنتين حلوين السكن حلو ولا حلو والله
ولا تبغون الرقصة الهندية؟
لا أنا ما همني بالرقصة الهندية والله حلو معك.
طيب اطلع بسرعة يا دوك.
استنى عشان بسوي بث.
لا عشان شو اسمه
استنوني بس وش كلمة المرور خاطئة والله هي نفسها. ينفع ترسل لي يعني حقة الموزة
طيب إذا فزتوا علي
يصير عندك سكن. لا مو استنوا يا عيال.
لا
والله
ما راح
اهديكم.
ما راح اهديكم.
لا تحط ليلى يا شيخ.
يا عيال ترى انا ما راح اعطيكم يعني ما راح اعطيكم هدية. لا راح اعطيكم 20 دولار
والله.
اي والله اذا فزتوا علي. مو تقولون كذاب مدري وش.
يا اخي كل شوي لازم نسكعك لازم نفوز يا اخي نبغى سكنات احنا والله نادر سكنات.
قول والله
نادر.
توني ادري يا ولد
وانا اموت فيك ترى.
ايوه جالنا سكن ولا والله ما تقول كذا.
والله لا اقول كذا.
طيب يلا
استنوا يا عيال والله اني بقول ماني مركز.
نطرده صح؟ يلا
كلمة المرور صعبة.
يا اخر شيء يا اخر شيء اكس يو انت قاعد تشوف
ما اخوي انا ما اعرف. ايوه
شوف كم سكناتي شوف لازم لا
ابي اشوف سكناتك معك في الزومبي. شوف لا الله يخرب بيتكم والله هي كلمة المرور.
طيب انا ايش تبي؟
استنى انا ابي ابث. انت ما هو يلعب من السيزون الثامن نتوقع. ايوه بس معاه احظي بس ما اقدر اشتريه.
طيب تبغى تشتري تحداني يوم بيوان اذا بس راسك.
لا يا اخوي والله اني ما اقدر يا شيخ. شوف يعني انا
العب
يا رب الكعب
يا ابو سندر ايش اسمه بطردك ونلعب حنا. طيب
لا يا والله بس
ترى طردتك ترى ما تسمعنا خلاص اطلع من الجيم.
والله لا اطلع
يلا باقي دقيقة ونكمل ساعة. الله
انا بقعد اشوف بس يا اخوي ابي اشوف والله هي الشنط حقك ابي اشوف. انا نسيت كلمة المرور. ادخل اخر كلمة تتأكد. شوفوا والله العظيم ان ما طلعت صح والله اني بطلع انا ماني دخل. خليني في تويتش أقول ما فهمت. 27
لا تقول اسم الايميل ما ادري بس ترى ياخذونه.
خلاص 30 ثانية ويجي. ايه رقم هاتف؟
حط رقم جوالك او جوال احد بيعطيكم رقم، حط الرقم وخلاص بيدخلونك.
حط رقم جوال عمي والله.
بيرسلوا له رسالة، حط الرسالة.
يا اخوي انا قاعد كذا.
خش على الرسالة حقته اخذ الرقم وحطه وخلاص مبروك عليك.
2
لا تقول رقم ابوك مدري عمك.
ابوي امزح معك. ثاني
جت حق جوال ابوك رسالة، روح شوف كم الرسالة وحطها.
استنى نسيت ابو شيء واحد.
أنا رقم 05067 05067. صندر مدري. يلا اطلع.
لا بس بدخل الرمز وخلاص وصلوا وبارك.
انت قاعد تسوي على السوني ولا الجوال؟
على السوني يا اخوي يسوي كذا. سالي قال لك انت الرمز.
يلا عيال
عنوان البريد خلاص. عنوان البريد بس خلاص.
نعطيك
يا رب ما في شيء ثاني. خلاص يا عيال والله طويل بس يلا ثاني. يا ربي رحمتك الحمد لله انها ما هي صعبة. سامحني يا مستر تيك توك سامحني. لا يا خوي هلا تحلف انك بتدينا هذه تدينا الحزمة احنا. يا اخي اسكت انا ركز يا اخي.
اسمع نبي نطردك اوكي؟
لا
اسمع احنا حاطين مجموعة.
خلاص باقي شوية. لا لا بذمة امك لا تطردني.
كم مرة قلت لك بذمة امك؟
خلاص قلت بذمة امك. حطيت كلمة عنوان. والله هو الله يخرب بيتكم يا كلاب. الله يخرب بيتكم. اطلع عفوني. وش يا ولد انا ما اعرف استخدامها ذي ساعة حتى يدي تعفصت. يلا راجع اللوبي. البجاع انت البث يا خوي، قاعد اشوف بثك يا
يدي ردي.
بشوف ليش مشبه نزل. انا بشوف والله فله يا ولد. يعني كذا صار يطرح حسابي، امسح الحساب ها، يعني ما ابغى احد يشوفه. وانا كمان والله ليه
يعني امسحه؟
لا ما تمسح حسابي، لا خذ خبشه يعني ما ابغى اشوف حسابي. ايه وانا كمان
يا ولد عادي، وش طلع وخلص وقاعد يطالعوا وخلصوا اثنين الخشة وطالعوا.
يا جاني لون صح؟ ما جاني لون. ما في اي لون جاني. طب هاي شوف قدم شباب، اشوف الموزة.
طيب شوف
الصينية.
ترى بطلع شو اسمه اساميكم. طيب
لا
طيب يلا اطلع بسرعة اطلع. طيب بسرعة اطلع. طيب يعني امسح البث امسحه.
طلعت هذاني شوفني.
ها
تبغون نلعب طار الزومبي؟
طيب اسمع، اعطيك $10 بس عادي، خلي اسمك يطلع.
ابشر
حتى انت يا قمر.
اوكي
خلاص.
طيب يلا اعطيني $10 اول شيء.
طيب احطه تحت الناس يشوفونه. لا ما يصير، لا تبغى.
والله شوفوا يا عيال ترى يعرفوا والله كذاب، صدقوني
ورب البيت إن خليت اطلع اسمك لا اعطيك. قدامهم حلال. ها ديسلايك.
ايه والله يا عيال ورب المصحف انه ما بيعطيني $100.
مو $100 على كيفك. 10
ما $100 $10 كم.
طيب اضغط ردي يا اخر شيء اكسيو.
ذمتك بتعطيني $10
اذا فزت علي؟ اذا شوف ورب الكعبة. شوف اذا فزتوا علي كل واحد لا اذا فزت علي يا شو اسمك دوك راح اعطيك
لا
انت
ما اقدر احط فيديو يا عيال، معلق عندي.
طيب اسمع $100 اعطيك اذا فزت علي. طيب واذا انتوا الاثنين فزتوا علي لكم $500 حق كل واحد ورب الكعبة.
كذاب يا حبيبي والله ما تعطينا والله. وش نفوز عليك؟ انا مالي دخل تحدي ولا بتحدي مالي.
طيب يعني ما تبى اسمك يطلع
يا اخي؟ انا بجيب بوكس خلي اسمي يطلع عادي، بس ما ابغى تحدي انا على $200 على هذا.
طيب
ما اقدر يا حبيبي. لما نسوي التحدي نقول يلا جيب $، نلاقيه طلع برا ويضحك علينا.
بتعرف وش التحدي؟
نفوز عليه 1v1 نتحدى 1v1.
لا
انا بلعب طار الزومبي.
ايوه طار الزومبي. اول اثنين يعني اذا اول اثنين يموتون
يا ربي اللوت حقك هذاك
ايوه
وخلاص.
انت كنت تشوفني صح؟
انت تشوفك.
طيب او اللي يموت اول واحد خلاص يطلع من المسابقة ما له شيء، ثاني واحد يموت بعد يطلع خلاص.
حبيبي لا
اول اثنين يموتون خلاص ينطردون. ابغى تريدي. طيب
في
محاولة
خلصت المحاولتين
$500 محاولتين
على محاولتين.
لا شوف محاولة أداء.
عندي شرط.
ليش؟ لأني لعيب.
شوف الشرط هو انه شو اسمه الشرط انه عادي تطلع. الشرط اني انا قلت خلاص طلع حسابي. الشرط الثاني انه على محاولتين ما لي دخل.
شوف اطلع حسابك محاولتين بس.
ايوه محاولتين
خلاص اوكي.
ولا
محاولتين ولا انا محاولة.
عادي 24 ساعة صراحة.
يلا تعال عندي
عادي. حطم مرة الزبد. انا بحط طور الزومبي يعني.
حطيته.
انا بسوي يود القطوة
في ساكت هذا. لا تسب يا كلب يا حيوان يا حقيرة.
لا تسب.
ايوه لا تسب.
هويك
ما اعرف بس قال من البث وخلاص.
ما هو ضايفني انا، هو ضايفك يا حبيبي. ايوه طيب كيف يشوف بثك؟
عرفت هذا اللي قبل معنا. يوم نعرف بعض كنا الثلاثة يوم ندخل سكواد. هذا هو.
لا لما انا دخلت مع محمد. انت محمد صح؟
ايوه انا اسمي محمد وهو اسمه محمد وكلنا اسامينا محمد. انا اسمي مستر دكتور حتى لو اسمي محمد عادي.
انا سميني ابو صندر.
صدر دجاج.
ابو صندر الله يخرب بيتك ابو صندر. انا ابوك.
واحد يروح يفتح البوابة بسرعة عشان نقدر. افتح البوابة يا يا اخي يو اس وش اسمك؟ طيب روح افتح البوابة الله يسلمك.
يا اخي تعال امشوا من هنا تعالوا ورايا.
طيب ندري انا شفت لوتين صح؟
تحت الباب. تعال خذوا السلاح. ترى في بالضبط يا عيال فلوس.
ولا اللوت يا عيال.
وش اللوت بالله؟
كيف؟
عندك سنايبر. لك انت الله يخليك.
انا معرق.
يحبك تطلع تسكت انا لا.
طيب نبي نفتح بوابات بس كلها بوابات.
البوابات امشي.
بطلتها.
وين بطلتها؟ كفو. تحتها.
ايوه.
هاي باخذ علاج. اطرق. إلى أمي قال واحد يخرب بيتك.
تركت. بطل بوابة ايوه نزرق بطل بوابة.
حبيبي تعال شوفهم.
تعال شوف عنا وين. شفت وين؟ لا تقدر تروح بطل تفتح البوابة افتحها.
الله يعين عن ابوهم. نعم ما قدرت.
طيب عطني فلوس باقي لي بس 100 بس باقي لي 100 معاك
يا عيال برايا.
في عندنا طلقات.
والله ما معاي انا.
تكفى افتح طيب.
انا بطل الباب اشوف. لا انا ما يمديني لازم موارد. الله يبارك فيك.
عقوني بسرعة عقوني قحصوا فيهم بسرعة قحصوا فيهم.
انا ميت.
اقول لك قحصوا فيهم بسرعة.
عرفت الخطة. نت واحد منكم ياخذني ونحاش. خذني ونحاش.
رص.
مالك انا بحميك. تحمينا ساعدني
اصبر.
ايوه ما يقدرون يجونك. ساعدني بس، ساعدني يا بيب.
اول ما اساعدك لا تضغطوا شيء بس انتظر لا عاد يتحرك لا يتحرك لا عاد يتحرك
والله لوت
يا عيال. شوف ادخل رفت. شوف ما تقدر تشتري، ما تقدر تاخذه لازم. ترى الحين بيودون، الحين بيرجعونه ترى بيرجعونه كتبه الحين بيرجعونه ترى الحين بيرجعونه. انتبه.
الله يلعن الصديق هذا.
طيب معك طلقات رشاش. اعرف طلقات رش. طلقات.
تعال ساعدني. طلقات الله يخرب بيتك.
خلهم يفنشونك بسرعة. نقدر نساعدك من هنا.
معي صوتك يا عادي. كم حقك تسجيني يعني؟
عادي خلهم يفنشونك عادي. معرقين انت شفتهم. ما شفت كم واحد. عادي اذا مت عادي اقدر اجيبك مرة ثانية.
لا ساعدني دق ما عندي وقت.
يلا الحين انتوا يا باقي لكم محاولة واحدة. ساعده انا بحاول ساعده.
يلا احميني.
قول والله مالي دخل. يلا مع السلامة.
الله ياخذ.
انا ابغاكم تخسرون. وراك.
لا تخاف. وينه؟ ما يمدينا نساعد خوينا.
اقدر اذا تبي تساعد تعال هنا. اذا تبي تساعد تعال هنا. تعال اذا تبي تساعد تعال بسرعة. لا تدوس شيء يا اخوي، لا تدوس شيء. اذا تبي تساعد تعال. تعال. اضغط على هذا المربع. وتساعده بسرعة. لا تتحرك يا شو اسمه اللون الازرق. طيب نساعدك لا تتحرك يا شو اسمه. دوك اضغط هذا. اضغط عليه. اضغط هذا. تعال دوك. تعال اضغط على هذا بسرعة.
استنى يا
مستر دكتور. روح.
ضيعت فلوسي عشان
ضغطته. بس يعني كل واحد له محاولة واحدة. اللي يموت خلاص. انا بروح اقدر اشتري سلاح يا عيال ذهبي. حظ يا جماعة. الكاد. يلا بروح اشتري. من يجي معي ارجع. هذا ارجع منه خلاص.
هذا يطلع ريح الله يقرفه.
ريح الزبالة جربت.
وراك. نط. عيال هنا شباب. الله ينعنا.
شوف كم اصفر. يا عيال اقدر اشتري.
يا ولد وين انت؟
شريت مينيجن.
تعال اخلصهم.
ما اعرفكم. اخلصهم من فوق.
خلاص
رجعت للافه.
الله ياخذ. شوفهم
اقدر نشوفهم بس اشتري طلقات زمان. شوف احتزمت وياه.
يطلع من ربي. يا عيال
طبعا اللي يموت منكم خلاص تروح عليه.
لا بس
مت مرة طحت نط
أول مرة
طحت نط طيب
أنا ما مت
يعني لازم تموت
هذه المرة الأخيرة
يا ليتني مو مساعدك يا ليتني مدحت فيك
والله يلعن فيك لا
اتوقع عايز تشتري سلاح ثاني يلا مع السلامة تو جاي يا عيال لازم تقول خلاص تراك ازعجت امنا
لا أتذكر
ما راح اشتري سلاح
ما قاعدين يشوفونا
ورانا جيش
الله أنا عين
بروح اشتري سلاح بروح اشتري سلاح ب1000
لازم يصير عندك 1000 ريال
خذوا الأسلحة إذا تبونها شوفوا في رشاش أزرق هنا
يا ويلي ويلا الله يا
يا بروح اشتري RPG ها
القراي قاعد يدمجوا من الخلف
لا يا عيال بروح
يا عيال افزع
ما اعرفك يا اخي موت خل يموت خوي ترى اذا مت يا اللون الازرق خلاص ترى يروحون عليك ال 500 دولار يلا هذا اذا فزت وانا ادري لكم مرة
شوفوا
الله يا RPG يا الله الله يا RPG يا الله
انا وش انت ما جمعت 2000
جمعت 2000 وخلاص شب
راح
واللي بخيرك اركبه واللي بخيرك اركبه واللي بخيرك اركبه اركب تعال اننا عوادي بعد عين حنا عواد
يا ولد لا
بشتري يا ولد تعال يا اخي صدام تعال
يلا قربت من
انا بشتريها كل عطني من هذا من يقنها شيء الميجن وطام حزن العزيز الله يعزرنا الميجن يا عيال شكلي وراح يصير بعد سلاح تبون شيء ها يا ولد جيب لوتي يا عيال ليه ما نفتح البوابات يا واحد يروح يفتح بوابة يا اللون ازرق كم معك فلوس؟ تقدر تشتري سلاح تعال بسرعة
انا اقدر بس استنى
سلاح ذهبي تقدر تشتري سلاح ذهبي اللون ازرق تبغى تشتري
بالله واحد يدافعني اللي ما عندي رصاصات من مرة
اتبعك RPG اصلا
لا
رحت هناك بشتري سكار.
يا الواحد يحرصني ابي اشتري اسلحة
ذهبية. تبغى تشتري أسلحة ذهبية؟ تعال حقني بسرعة الحقني. حط بيكاكس والحقني بسرعة. حط بيكاكس والحقني بسرعة. لا تخليهم يمسكونه. تعال
كذا وتمشي. ايوه
تعال خش انقزوا روح هناك. امشوا يلا. اي ساعة تبي اخذه بل
والله لا اخذ منقة.
خذ المنقة. تخلص. خليت اسلحتكم يا رجال.
فلوس بس فلوس. اعطي فلوس بس والله لا يهمك. رجعنا.
انا بروح اشتري سلاح. بشتري سكار. ولد انا ولا موت. راوند 10.
يخرب بيته. اشتبون.
بس اذا تفنشت خلاص. خلاص تطلع ما في الدولار.
يا ولد ايش فيك؟ وين يبدا؟ تعال تزعلي معاي خلاط انا كل شيء.
طيب تعال بساعد كذاب ذا. بروح اساعدك. بروح اساعدك.
انا بذبح
فيك بروح اساعدك.
زومبي زب. ساعد
هذه ما اعرف.
ما هم شايفين. بالله ساعدني.
بس ترى اذا مات خلاص.
يا ولد انا بتدمج.
ترى اذا مات خلاص.
ساعده.
روح ساعد بس خلاص. اذا بس خلاص باقي انت مرة واحدة تموت تفنش خلاص.
يا عيال بالله ساعدوني يا خوي بالله اخر مرة.
بس خلاص راحوا عليك خلاص ماكو فلوس دولارات خلص.
اخر يا
خوي والكعب نقدر يعني زوري
عليك.
كيف؟
تعال لي هاني هنا يا خوي بالله اخر محاولة يا شيخ بالله.
نقدر
والله مسكين.
فؤاد ورب الكعب اني مقدر. يا ريتني ما اخذ اللانشر.
يا عيوني والله
هذا ترى اللون الازرق ترى مرة قوي صار.
مرة يا عيال انا خلاص بدأت جوا. يا عيال بدأت اوكي
تطلع.
يا شيخ ما تساعدوني. اقول لك كمان محاولة ما تقدر. وش المحاولة؟
بس ترى يا ولد انا محاولة واحدة. وش يعني؟
بساعده.
بس ترى ما ينحسب معنا بس يلعب.
لا ما يفوت.
لا بس خلاص ما تاخذ دولارات خلصوا. ايوه كذا اللعب. ليه تخسر؟ بس ترى ما راح ينحسب معنا. لا بس ترى غلط يا ولد. بس ما راح ينحسب معنا. وشو انا اخسر فلوس هنا.
يا خوي بالله
دي ما تمرها شوف ما تمرها.
خليتهم يموتون عشان اطلع. ابيها تروح الريحة راح. معي ما نقعد. عندك واحد
ايوه
ايش اقول لك كمان محاولة. اقول لي لا مش المرتين.
خلاص يا حبيبي انا محاولة. انا بعد محاولتي خلاص. انا وش اسوي بس هذا بقى محاولة.
انا كل
طلع
انا ما عندي ولا سكن.
ريحة خايسة صح؟
الله ينعن شبهني فيها. الله ينعنهم.
ريحتهم يا ولد تصرخ صح؟
الله يقطعكم يا خلاص انا ما معي فلوس، راحت فلوسي عشانك.
لا تكفى 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 طردتك يا ولد. لا يا عمي انا باقي لي بعد محاولة. لا فزت. ايوه رب الكعبة. ايوه باقي لي محاولة. ايش بك يا واد؟ تعال ساعدني لوتي. اقول اسمع اتمت مرة واحدة. لا تخلي الهواش يجي بيني. لك 1000 ورب الكعبة 6000 اعطيك 6000 خشبة.
لا ولد ورب الكعبة ما يمديني.
6000 خشبة 6000 خشبة. 20 دفع. ولد انا بطلع ترى خسرنا.
ورب المصحف ما عشان عندك ماني
بني يلا اوكي شباب. بس الى وصلنا دقيقة شباب وبس الى هنا وصلنا نهاية مقطع ايش دخل. اوكي الى هنا وصلنا نهاية البث. لايك شير سبسكرايب. يلا بيس اوت. يلا دقيقة بيس اوت يا شباب.